In 2022, a hunter named Brian captured an intriguing photograph while in Oregon's Fremont-Winema National Forest. The image depicted a black-tailed deer cautiously surveying its environment. Suddenly, a large, dark form emerged from the nearby foliage, distinct from the deer. This incident calls to mind a previous event that occurred on December 5th, 1998. The Engebretson family, residents of Bonanza, Oregon, were preparing for the Christmas season. Each year they would venture into the densely forested Fremont-Winema National Forest in search of a suitable Christmas tree. This forest, characterized by its abundance of tall fir and pine trees, was renowned for providing ideal specimens for holiday decoration. Around 2 p.m., 80-year-old Derrick set out with his father, Robert, and grandfather, Bob, to cut down trees. Bundled up against the cold, Derrick carried a small hatchet with him. He was a third grader with a deep love for the wilderness, earning him the nickname Bear Boy. Derrick loved watching wildlife shows at night, curled up in his bed. The family had permission to cut 3 trees, one of which they planned to gift to a disabled neighbor. As they ventured deeper into the forest, Derrick, full of energy, ran ahead of his grandfather. Bob later explained that Derrick loved to roam and explore. Soon, Derrick asked if he could run even further ahead, toward a line of tracks in the snow. Thinking the tracks were left by Robert, Bob agreed, assuming it was safe, since they seemed to belong to someone familiar. However, the footprints were unusually large, much bigger than a normal person's. Bob figured Robert might have been wearing new snow boots, so he dismissed the thought. Not long after, Robert and Bob met up again, but realized something was off. They didn't have Derrick with them. Each thought the boy was with the other. They quickly realized that Derrick had vanished. Panicked, they shouted his name, but the only responses were the rustling of trees and the distant cries of deer. That's when Bob had a chilling realization. Robert had come from behind him, which meant the large footprints Derrick had followed didn't belong to Robert. Without a second thought, they rushed off in the direction of the footprints. As they tried to push deeper into the forest to find Derrick, a sudden blizzard rolled in, making it almost impossible to see. Thinking fast, Robert ran down the mountain and managed to flag down a passing car. He begged the driver to call the police. After making the call, Robert headed straight back to the scene, determined to keep searching with his father. On a small side path, they noticed something unusual. A snow angel. You know, the kind kids make when they lie in the snow and wave their arms and legs. At first, they thought Derrick might have made it. But then again, animals like squirrels or rabbits can leave marks like that too. By now, it was about 6 p.m., and the sky was getting dark. Worry turned into fear as the family realized how serious this was. A few hours later, the police showed up, along with hundreds of volunteers. They formed a line and began searching every inch of the snow-covered terrain. Robert refused to give up hope. "Derrick's tough," he said. "He grew up in these mountains. He knows them like the back of his hand. Maybe he's hurt or stuck somewhere." But the temperature had already dropped below freezing. Even if Derrick was alive, he wouldn't last long in those conditions. The search expanded. Volunteers on foot, police helicopters circling above, and even search dogs were brought in. But the relentless snowfall slowed everything down. Then, on the 3rd day, there was a break. A volunteer reported finding footprints on a snow-covered rock. They looked like they belonged to a child. Robert ran to the spot and followed the trail. The footprints led all the way to the banks of the river upstream from Klamath Lake. And then, they just stopped. Nearby, they found a makeshift shelter built out of tree branches. It looked like it could block the snow, but Robert was certain Derrick didn't make it. "Some of those branches are way too thick. Derrick couldn't have snapped them," he said. When the search dogs were brought over, they didn't pick up Derrick's scent. Instead, they started howling as if they were scared of something. And just like that, the trail went cold. Day after day, the chances of finding Derrick alive grew smaller and smaller. By the 7th day, the police announced they were ending the official search, saying the blizzard made it too dangerous to continue. But the family wasn't ready to give up. They kept organizing their own search teams. About a month later, someone found a school bookmark in a candy wrapper in the forest. The bookmark was from Derrick's school, and there were even traces of blood nearby. But these clues, discovered miles from where he was last seen, didn't lead to anything. Derrick's disappearance remains a mystery to this day. The official investigation never found answers, but people haven't stopped speculating. Some think the boy was kidnapped, but no one really knows. In October 1999, a piece of writing was discovered in a restroom at a rural rest stop south of Portland. The contents seemed to reference Derrick's case. Early in the investigation, a witness claimed they saw an unidentified man arguing with a young boy on the night Derrick went missing. At the time, the witness dismissed it, assuming it was just a father and son having a disagreement. There were also reports of an unidentified man driving a Honda in the forest that day, asking for directions. These suspicious events added weight to the theory that Derrick might have been kidnapped. In 2008, a man named Frank Megan was charged with kidnapping and murder in a separate case. Investigators working on Derrick's disappearance speculated that Frank might have killed the boy, but without concrete evidence, it remained nothing more than a theory. Another viewpoint argued that Derrick couldn't have been abducted. While Frank had a history of targeting young boys, his crimes usually occurred near schools and neighborhoods. Plus, the footprints Robert found indicated Derrick was heading up the mountain, a place where Frank would have no reason to be, especially in such cold weather. A second, more eerie theory suggested that Derrick's disappearance might involve something not entirely human. Independent investigator David Paulides proposed this idea. According to him, hundreds of people vanish in North American forests every year, most of them children. Paulides pointed out that these cases often happen in the blink of an eye. Children disappear in just minutes, never to be seen again. In Oregon alone, Paulides found over 400 disappearance cases from park records in a single year. He noted, "It's almost unbelievable how many kids go missing in Oregon's wilderness." While authorities explore conventional explanations for Derrick's disappearance, some individuals propose a more esoteric theory involving the legendary creature known as Bigfoot. This speculation gained momentum on social media in 2023 when a commenter suggested that Bigfoot might be drawn to children, utilizing objects like sticks or trinkets to entice them before abducting them. This hypothesis was further fueled by an incident in 2022 when a hunter named Brian captured footage of a large humanoid figure ambushing a deer in the Oregon mountains. Brian described the creature as exhibiting cunning hunting strategies, using berries as bait and setting traps. He even discovered a deer with its head violently detached, attributing this gruesome find to the creature's predatory behavior. Regardless of whether Derrick's disappearance is attributable to criminal activity, supernatural forces, or an entirely unforeseen circumstance, his case remains one of Oregon's most perplexing unsolved mysteries. His head, it was completely gone, Brian said, pausing as if even he couldn't believe what he was describing. It would take an incredible amount of strength to do something like that. People in the community started connecting Brian's story with what David Paulides had been saying for years. The theory that Derrick wasn't lost or attacked by an animal, but rather taken by some unknown creature living deep in the forest. A creature some believe might actually be Bigfoot. When you piece it together, things start to make a disturbing kind of sense. On December 5th, the family was at the site. Derrick, being a curious little kid, wandered off just out of his grandfather's sight. Then he spotted footprints in the snow. He thought, those must be Dad's, so he followed them. But what Derrick didn't know was that something, or someone, was already lying in wait. Some believe Bigfoot had left those prints intentionally, and even made a snow angel to catch Derrick's attention. Then, as soon as he got close enough, he was gone. People have pointed out that there were makeshift shelters built from branches in the area too. Some think that's a sign Bigfoot had been there for a while. Maybe Derrick was taken somewhere far from that spot. Now, sure, it's just a theory. It hasn't been officially recognized, and honestly, the authorities lean toward a much sadder explanation. Derrick got lost and died from exposure to the harsh elements. In 2008, a hiker found a pair of human leg bones in the same area where Derrick disappeared.